up, guys? It is peak week. I feel like death on a stick, but tomorrow is the first day where I finally get to eat some damn carbs. So today's workout is going to be pretty short. They usually are kind of leading into the show, and part of the reason for these shorter single set workouts is really just to get a little pump, make sure that you don't put yourself back into a surplus and gain back any body fat on peak week, and really just get some of that carbohydrate moving into your muscles. So nothing inflammatory provoking this week, no new exercises, nothing that's going to cause swelling, so no new movements, no drop set techniques, no fancy techniques, none of that stuff. It's going to be pretty simple. And I've actually got a new program that I'm bringing to you guys. It'll be available for you to purchase on the website. I've got it actually written up here in the app, which is nice. So that's about 12 weeks away from being rebuilt. Oh my gosh. So today we're going to go through a full body workout. We're here at Flex and Flow in Tampa. We're going to cover a bit of everything. They've got some brand new equipment in here. Maybe we'll get to use it today, but even if not, I'm just going to quickly show you because I love this gym and they have some new stuff coming too. They have a gold plated leg press on its way. So I can't wait to do that. So if you're ever in the Tampa Bay area, come and check out Flex and Flow. It is really one of the best facilities that I've seen with a great variety of equipment. But let's stop talking or I'm going to run out of energy today. So let's just do it. All right, we're starting with my favorite muscle group, glute medius. And remember, exercise order is less important if you're concerned with muscle growth. Although I will say, from an injury risk prevention standpoint, it can certainly be helpful to start with your compound movements first. You get in, you do those more technically challenging, difficult movements at the beginning of the session. Otherwise, if you save those to the end, although it won't necessarily interfere with hypertrophy and muscle growth, it can increase the risk of injuries if you're trying to do, a compound deadlift or a squat when you're exhausted. So that being said, I'm starting with an isolation muscle group today. This is one of my favorite movements for hips, glutes, glute medius specifically. Some of these machines come with a seat belt. I have a seat belt handy just around here. So this keeps you fixed in position and it makes sure that your hips aren't kind of rotating. And if you do that, it actually changes where the load is distributed. So you want to stay in a fixed position so that when you push your legs down, it's still in your glute medius. Whereas if I were to do this without anything, I end up arching my back and it ends up just being a lower back exercise. So I'm actually going to have Sam do the resistance band version because right now I have really bony hips and there's not a lot of padding and protection on the seat belt. So the band is actually much more comfortable. So if you've got a training partner and you've got bony hips like me, this can be much beneficial. So I'm going to put this around the actual pelvis, and I'm going to have him pull kind of down to the floor, like into my the shape of my hip position. I got it. There we go. Got to put it on my actual bones. Okay. All right. Do I want to hit Sam? Is that good? Okay. All right. You can pull harder. Yeah, keep me in that chair. So I go relatively light on this exercise. I'm going to do 25. And again, I feel like as soon as I start to load up a little bit more, though I can do a full range of motion, it's no longer just my glute medius. It's about 16 other muscle groups if I had to guess. So I'm keeping it isolated in my glute medius here. And in order to get to failure, I'm going through to about 25. Oh, the curtain. Hang on, let me put this up over Sam. Yeah, Sam hates doing this exercise in public, so we're gonna give him the curtain he's always dreamed of.
Pro tip, if you're a guy doing abduction, public gym, just pop one of these in your gym bag.
Just pop one in your gym bag, guys. We joke about this all the time, and we've actually finally got a curtain. Sam actually had this packed in his training bag.
So the form is really good. Lots of plates on the machine.
All right, so second exercise. This is our premier hip extension or hyperextension. So I'm going to be doing this glute focused. So So you notice I'm going to really round my upper back into like a kyphotic position. And that basically eliminates all of your spina recta muscles. So it kind of takes out the lower back because you're putting it into a lengthened position, so you can't really engage. So it really forces you to activate your glutes. So just pop this down here. I think that's my weight. So we're probably going to go through like 12 exercises today, but again, they're all single sets, so it's not going to be a huge amount of volume overall, but you'll see a lot of movements. Challenging. All right, Sam, you're up. Up next, we have standing hip abduction, just here. And I'm actually going to show you a different iteration of this movement using this machine that I haven't got filmed, and it's not in the app yet because no one's doing this. But it's probably my favorite exercise for your glute medius at the moment. I'm still just doing one set. I'm still going to be doing 25 reps. So it's basically the same. I'm just going to replace this with something that's actually brand new. So I'm going to go ahead and get this set up if you want to watch what I'm using, and I'll just talk you through it as I'm going. And it's going to target your glute medius. And the reason that I like this exercise so much is, for me personally, I have quite a lordosis in my back. So I have a very like posterior tilt, if you can imagine. This is my spine. It's like that. So unfortunately, for a lot of the exercises, like the abduction over here, when you lean back, it's meant to isolate your glute medius. But for me, it puts an excessive amount of load like in this area on my back. So I'm going to be laying down in a supine position, completely flat. So I've got gravity pushing me into the floor, and it really eliminates a lot of that lower back loading and isolates the glute medius. And I just think it's a really comfortable movement. So I hope you guys, if you've got one of these, set it up and give it a try. I think you will love it. Oh my God, why does 25 pounds feel so heavy? Oh my gosh. The other thing that you're gonna need for this exercise are these little guys. But maybe you didn't know this already. Most people probably do. If you want to buy something or you see something that you're like, oh, that looks cool, I want to buy it, take a screenshot, and you can now upload pictures onto Amazon and it'll find like a similar product for you. I have done that with like so many outfits and just knickknacks and gadgets. So 2 of these are going to go under your knees. One of them is going to go behind your head as a neck rest, and these are like $7. So you're not going to blow the budget. They do fit in a training bag, and then you can set yourself up. So you're going to need a box or anything that is similar height to your plate. The second one here, you're going to line up. Thankfully, these are similar height. And we're going to get these 2, plug them here on the end. So what you can see here, my knees are now over the little blue squishy pads. Headrest is in position. I'm going to grab down here by my sides just for some stability. And I'm also going to kind of drive my upper body into the bench behind me just for some extra stability. And then I'm just going to take it out wide. So like I said, I'm going higher rep today because I'm really trying to isolate very specific muscles. And if I go too heavy, I start to bring in other muscle groups, other stabilizing muscles that I do not want to grow as a bikini competitor. And I could totally just have a nap. All right, guys, you don't mind, I'll just be here for a few minutes. So yeah, I genuinely love this exercise. If you have the luxury of doing it, take a few minutes to put this together. It doesn't take much. But if you are like me and have that really curved spine, like we call it a duck butt, it's probably something that I developed when I used to dance. I did ballet for like 10 years. So this is the one. It's the one.
When you use this.
You can still feel the intensity from the other side of the curtain. One more in this area. So technically I've only done 3 sets on my glute medius. I'm just doing a lot of variety today. It's honestly partly because I'm so mentally exhausted and fatigued from doing the last program for the last 6 weeks, and it's very repetitive. And I know all these exercises, I'm so comfortable with doing them, and this is what's making me happy today. All right, we're gonna need a little bit more weight on here. So I'm gonna do the standing hip abduction. And again, you can modify where specifically you target or how much you isolate your glutes. This exercise typically also includes a little bit of glute max, just because you're in a really forward leaning position, hanging onto the handles, which lengthens your glute max. So you get not only glute max, but glute medius as well. Whereas if you lean back and away, like way back here, it's a little bit more isolating on the glute medius, but I'm gonna do both. So using some pads, range of motion, guys, range of motion. Number one, I think it just feels more comfortable when you can take a movement through its full range. I'm sure that there are some on the other side of the camera watching this who are like, no, I really like training in the shortened position, or I really like training in the lengthened position. It's probably exercise specific. There are some like a prone hamstring curl. I really like training in the lengthened position. I want my legs all the way straight. And it's just a nice, like you can feel everything working. We're gonna pop those in nice and low. Ooh, like I mentioned, I'm gonna be in that forward leaning position. So here, there's still glute max clearly working in this exercise. Whereas if I come back a little bit more here, there's less glute max. It's more up, some more of your upper glute here. All right, Samuel. So today's intensity is probably at an 8.5 or a 9, and tomorrow I will be dropping right back to like a 5. So it'll literally be picking up weights that are 50% of what I would normally do. And like when I look in the mirror, I did a photo shoot this morning, my legs are still so inflamed. Part of the reason was I still had to keep pushing basically up until today to get body fat off because of the timeline. So yeah, I did my last 20-minute run this morning, and yeah, I mean, I've walked for an hour, I've done 20 minutes of running. I did another one of those earlier this week as well. So there's just a lot of fluid in my legs. So tonight, after everything's said and done, I'm getting in the ice bath. Not something that I would usually worry about, but because it does influence the aesthetic and how you look on stage, I need to bring that right down. So I'm not so concerned with what it's going to do to my muscle at this point. That's obviously a big priority, getting rid of inflammation. So yeah, easy workouts tomorrow and Friday. All right, next muscle group. Let's go find something to destroy. All right, so we're gonna do this leg press calf raise behind me here. So the variation that's currently in the program is the seated calf press machine. So I'm just gonna adjust the set number here. So we're gonna do 1 set, doing literally 15 reps, that's it. 2 repetitions in reserve today. So we'll go ahead and add that exercise. Yes. All right, let's pull it up. There it is. Probably should load this bad boy. All right, something unique about the calf and the way that it's put together anatomically is the muscle crosses over 2 joints. And because of that, any exercise where your legs are in a straight lengthened position tend to better isolate both your lateral and medial calf muscle. If you do a seated calf raise, you tend to only get one side. So I still use both in my programs. I don't think there's any downside to incorporating the seated and a standing or like a leg press like this. But anything where you're in that kind of extended position, whether you're doing it on a standing calf raise or a Smith machine or prone leg press or anything like this, you tend to activate both a little bit better. So if you're working out for efficiency purposes, Maybe the standing is a little better, but I think ultimately if you were to compare volume over time and program smartly, even with the seated calf raise, you can probably get really similar outcomes. So we're talking fractional millimeter differences. Sorry, you probably heard me talk a little bit about that in previous training videos. So if you haven't seen those, go back and watch my training videos. There's a lot of great education. And Sam talks a lot about it too. He's obviously a researcher specifically studying muscle growth. So here's a gem to have. You've done quite a bit of glutes so far. This is still going to hit your glutes, but it's not the reason why I'm getting on this machine. I'm going to specifically make it more quad focused. So Premier is my favorite hack squat. There is no other that compares. Partly it's loaded really nicely without putting anything on it. So one of the issues that I personally have, and maybe ladies, you can relate to this. If you're in some of the gyms, the equipment is so heavy, before you even worry about putting a weight on it, it's already at like an RPE 9 or 10. I remember getting on one hack squat machine at Powerhouse Gym. I can't remember the brand, but it was an RPE 10. Like I couldn't do a warm up safely on that piece of equipment. So I like that this is an overly heavy machine and you can get in and do a few warm up reps, and it's so smooth because it's on a roller. So if you are a home gym owner or you're looking to buy equipment, I could genuinely say that this Premier is probably my favorite hack squat machine. And I'd say it's probably, I don't know, 3.5 meters. I don't know what that is in feet, but it has a slightly bigger footprint, but I think it's worth the footprint personally. All right, so foot positioning makes all the difference. If we go high and wide and toes out, we're gonna get a little bit more lengthening of the glutes at the bottom. If we go narrow and low, we're gonna get a bit more forward knee tracking at the bottom. That's gonna be a bit more quad focus. I'm gonna go somewhere in the middle because I don't necessarily mind hitting my glutes for this movement. One of the things that I think are unique to the workout apps that I have built, and we're a few weeks away from launching this the third time, so thrilled about that, is that I have basically got our entire exercise library coded with fractional volume. So I guess what that means is there are going to be some movements that you do, and historically people will be like, oh, that's just a glute exercise, or that's just a quad exercise. But the reality is you might have secondary muscle groups that are being used in that movement, or even tertiary. There's probably some that are many more, but there's usually a few, primary and secondary movers. So we've gone through and assigned like fractional values to all of our exercises. So like this exercise, for instance, if I had it written as a glute focused hack squat where your feet are high and wide, we would be assigning probably 1 to the glutes. So that's 1 full set. So I've said 3 sets of 10. You're going to get 3 sets assigned to your glute muscles. But I'm probably also going to be assigning 3 sets to the quads because both muscles are probably contributing to failure. Like what's going to fail when you do that movement? To me, when I do that exercise, both are the limiting factor that prevent me from doing another repetition. It's not one necessarily more than the other. But conversely, if I'm doing a quad focused hack squat with the feet placement low, I would be assigning a full 3 sets to my quads, but I would assign a fractional volume to the glutes because they're still working, but they're not what's really causing you to go to failure. So the way that we then track in the app is very specific and really helps you get a better idea about how much volume and load you're doing over the course of your training week to make sure that you're getting a sufficient amount of volume to actually grow. Because I can't begin to tell you how many people's programs I've looked at over the years and they're like, yeah, I think this is going to help me grow. And when I count up how many sets they're doing on like their hamstrings or their glutes or whatever muscle it is that they're trying to grow, maybe there's multiple, there are so many times when there's nowhere near enough volume, like for an advanced lifter. And I'm like, who wrote your program? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like a bro workout and there's more biceps than there are glutes. So just be mindful of that. But one of the great things about the app, and I'm so excited to bring this to you again, But it takes into consideration all of this. And you can literally look and see, based on all of the programs that we have in our library, and there are hundreds, which one is going to be best fit for you, because you might want to grow your buys, but you also might want to grow your calves and your quads. So you can look at the volume and go, okay, that's only a maintenance volume. At least you then know that this program might work for you, but you've just got to add a couple more sets to get it up into that optimal range. So, yeah. All right. You see, I misloaded the plates too. No. There's a point to the story. Most of these machines, you can misload them. You don't have to have them matching. The weight just is distributed evenly, unless you've got like a bilateral machine or something where there are two separate levers that are controlled separately. So unless you are putting like 7 plates on, I mean, that's not smart. You probably would cause damage to the machine over time. But yeah, don't worry if you put a 25 on and not on the other side. But I guess the elitists will probably come in and criticize you for doing the wrong thing. It's nonsense. Next up, we're going to be hitting the hamstrings. So we haven't touched this muscle group yet. So I'm going to do a little light warm up, just 1 set, probably 5 repetitions on, I don't know, 50% of my known working weight for this. I'm gonna wait for about 30 seconds and I'm gonna dive back in. I just don't want to get an injury. I'm so swollen and sore at this point. So this is the one muscle group for me over the last 12 months that has continued to give me just a little bit of discomfort. It's almost like there's just an extra strain. I don't know why. It hasn't been so bad that I've needed to go and get physical therapy or have an ultrasound or do anything meaningful about it. I've rested it at for periods of time, like no hamstring work for like 6 weeks. But this prep has actually been fine. I haven't had any problems, but the last thing I want to do today is ruin it. So we'll go in with a nice light weight. My working weight's going to be 80, so I'm going to go down to like 45, 40. I don't know who's more excited for post-show. Sam or I think Sam has voluntarily just chosen not to enjoy like all of the treat foods that we would usually enjoy together in like an off season. So we've technically both been diving. So we've been like coming up with a list of all of our favorite places that we still need to get to go and visit like over the next few weekends. But there's a place called Violet Stone in Tampa. If you're from the Tampa Bay area, go and check this out. It's like in the middle of nowhere, St. Pete. Hole in the wall, little like pizza place. It's been on, what's that guy's name? I never remember. He does all the reviews, the YouTuber. Yeah. We're all to say, it's really good. We've ordered pizza from there before, but the owners are from Philly and they do like the best Philly cheesesteak sandwich. And we ordered a chicken one recently and a steak with some red pepper and cheese. So good. And it was kind of right in that period when we were there where I was about to dive back into cutting, and they had these mozzarella cheese bricks, not sticks, bricks. So I'm a cheesy person. I like cheese. So I'm just dying for like the big cheese pool on these things. I think we'll probably get those on Sunday night after my competition. We're going to drive there. They don't have like Uber Eats. They're just such a hole in the wall place. So I'm excited for those. Okay, next exercise, we're gonna move to our upper body. We've done quite a bit of lower body. I think we've covered everything, quads, glutes, hamstrings. Yeah, we've done a lot of lower body, that's great. Heading over to big muscle groups first, I'm gonna do my back exercise, and that's because this is what I care about. I'm just gonna do a max set, probably to like an RPE 9. I might leave 1 rep in the tank. Again, this is gonna hit my lats. I might do one other more narrow grip pulling movement here in the middle just to hit my rhomboids a little bit more. And then we'll move on to shoulders and chest. I'm not going to worry about biceps and triceps since they're not really muscles that I am caring about at the moment, but indirectly, again, comes back to that conversation we had earlier about when I put fractional volume assignment to different muscle groups in different movements. in a pull-up exercise, I'm still going to give you a partial fractional volume for your biceps because you still are going to use these, especially in like a close grip or an underhand grip version. Probably less so in a wider grip version. There's less reliance on your bicep, but I still feel them. Even in a close grip cool down, sometimes like the thing that is kind of getting closer to failure for me is sometimes my biceps, and it's because I'm not training them as often, so there's less endurance. But anyway, let's just go and do a max set pull-up. I think I left one in the check.
It's probably smart.
Yeah. So if you don't have Versa grips, guys, please get Versa grips. This will allow you to isolate the muscle that you're trying to focus on, rather than bringing in all of the extra that you're not intending to grow or use in a movement. So I'll use these for all of my pulling exercises, like my RDLs, things like that, where my grip strength is probably going to be the limiting factor, where my hamstrings are very strong, my glutes are very strong in an RDL. If anything's gonna go first, it's my wrist or it's my nails. So use wrist wraps. I actually have a discount code if you haven't got Versa grips. These are magical. I've tried every single pair of grips that you can possibly imagine. And these are the ones that I come back to. And they have classic, pro. You can even do the cute little ones with your name embroidered on them. So if someone tries to steal them in the gym, you can go, that's mine. So yeah, I used to have with my name on it, but I've got just the blue ones at the moment. So Versa grips. All right, I'm happy with that. I think it was at 15 reps. I think I did 15, something like that. So I'm gonna.
I might gyp you one. I have it on the phone.
Let's move into your middle back, so rhomboids. I'm gonna sit down here and do a close grip single arm row next, and then we'll move over to chest and shoulders. Funny, I can see just how swollen everything is right now. So bad. We are moving on to the shoulders. We're doing medial and our anterior shoulder. So I've got a single arm half kneeling overhead press. No particular reason why I'm doing this over any other shoulder exerciser, whereas pressing over the head has a little bit more stabilizing required in this. I don't necessarily mind that because the only things that are going to have to activate are really my shoulders here and maybe my chest and my back. And that's fine. So I'm using my little yoga mat. This is ProSource Fit. I'll link this in the description, or at least I'll put something on the screen so that you can click it and go grab it. But I use this for everything. All right, so hand that's going on the post is the foot that's going to be bent, or the knee that's going to be bent. Keeping it in nice and close. Pressing through. Core is on, everything's active, glutes are tight, coming down. And you can see because the dumbbell is slightly in front of my face, that is why this is also going to grab a little bit of your anterior shoulder. So again, I would assign fractional volume to my anterior in this movement and a primary volume to the medial. Buddy. All right, I'm gonna switch over to this one. And it's been a little while since I had nails. I forgot number one, how hard it is to do anything. Texting, typing, pulling your pants on, putting your socks, doing your shoelaces. Lifting weights is another story. Oh, okay, here we go. Just move on to the next exercise. So this is so weird. One set. It's like a deload week. Who doesn't love a good deload week? I always plan them when I have a new program because, you know, you're trying to familiarize yourself with like all new equipment in the order and stuff. It's so much nicer not to have to do all 3 sets. It's like one challenge is enough. Next exercise, we're gonna hit rear delt. Since we haven't touched any of the back part yet, although we've done a little bit, so any pulling movements, whether it's high grip or vertical pulls, horizontal pulls, even if it's your back, you still do get a little bit of rear delt. So again, you probably get some kind of volume, but nothing meaningful. We're gonna isolate that now. So just gotta bring this up somehow. God, I hate machines sometimes. This requires 2 people. There you go.
Is that where you need?
Yeah. I can't believe just how much criticism exists in the world. I've done these where I'm like leaning really forwards, or I'm sitting much more upright, or I've done them like on a different machine where I'm like leaning like this. The angle adjusts where it loads. So if I'm in this tall upright position, I'm still going to get a little bit of my medius recruited. I'm still going to get a bit of my anterior here in this position as well. But if I lean forwards, I'm really kind of limiting that now to my rear delt. So there isn't a right or a wrong way if you know why you're doing the exercise. I'm going to lean forwards in this one just to isolate. And I've also got quite flexible arms, joints, ligaments, tendons in general. So my range of motion probably looks very different to somebody else's. I've been critiqued for like doing an RDL where like the dumbbells touch the ground, or I'm doing something where like I'm pushing way behind, and they're like, oh, that's such bad technique. What do you know? I'm just like, do you know anything about me? Like, no. So in order for me to get to a fully shortened muscle length position in this, you're gonna see me come back here because that's the end of my range of motion. But for someone else that doesn't have the same kind of flexibility as me, they might finish here, and that's okay. Full length, full range of motion would be all the way here. So this is completely in the lengthened position where they're touching. And this is the shortened position. And I can't flex it any more than that, that's it. So let's go. Let's go. Damn it, I need to go up one. Damn it, I need to go up one. There we go. See, there was something wrong with it at the bottom. Yeah, so you can see here, Sam likes to do like the half kneeling kind of variation. So technically he is in the same position that I was. He's leaning forwards, but Sam has a really long spine. So for him to achieve that same position, he would have to take the seat all the way down. He's been very courteous today. So he's just kneeling and leaning forwards, but he's effectively doing the same movement. He's just doing it from a different position, standing versus seated. Yeah. All right, going in for an intentional isolation anterior exercise. There are so many fun ways to do this. You could do, I guess, one front raise into a lateral raise. You could do steering wheels. You can do a combination of all those 3 as a circuit. It doesn't matter. Remember, the thing that matters most, if you want the muscle to grow, is to sufficiently activate and fatigue the motor units you're trying to target. We can do that with low load training. We can do it with high load training. They all have the potential to build muscle. So it really gives lifters so much flexibility to train in a way that you enjoy and to program exercise combinations however you like. So you could potentially activate and fatigue your anterior and medial shoulder by doing that lateral raise, front raise combo, or you could do them in isolation. One is not better than the other. You might be able to superset them and it might make your session more efficient. So time is of the essence, for many of us it is. maybe that would be the way to go. But for me personally, I don't superset exercises very often. Part of the reason is I actually use my rest time to like do emails and take phone calls and all the other things. So if I wasn't in that scenario, I probably would superset a little bit more just to make things a little faster. But it's not a disadvantage by any stretch of the imagination, but you do want to make sure that you are going close or to failure. Okay, oh my God, this thing slipped straight out of my hand. This, if you like chest training, that is This is such a nice machine. It's similar, I think the reason that I like it again, it's similar to the hack squat that I showed you earlier from Premier, is that it is on a roller. It is so smooth, just beautiful. Such a nice range of motion. Of course, you can adjust this to your spine length. So if you're a giant, it's got such a good range of motion for the seat. So you can also come all the way up here if you're miniature, but then you have a hard time hitting the ground. So we need little wedges or blocks for our feet if you're a shorty. If you've got a small spine, I would recommend you do that because you want to still press from chest height, but sometimes that means that your legs are like dangling off the seat if you're really small. So in that case, I would recommend getting a couple of blocks just so that you've got good leverage. You want to be able to ground yourself and press into the floor, but like not in this kind of position. Or if you're looking for the challenge, some of the machines, I literally sit like this and it takes away all of your stabilizing. So it means that you're going to lift a lower load, but it's just a nice challenge. You're then required to use a bit more of your core, just more muscle engagement across the board. So like this is so much harder with my feet off the ground because I can't drive into the floor. So one is not better than the other. It's just what's the purpose of the exercise? Make that decision first and then set up appropriately. Okay, that was really light. So warm-up set, I probably did 8 reps there, like, 50% of my working weight. So we're going to add a little bit more load now. And I would recommend doing warm-up again because this is a new muscle group. Even though we've been here for hours, yes, I'm warm, but we haven't done a whole lot of movement where my chest is in a really stretched position. So if you're starting something new, even if it's late in the workout, do a warm-up set. Oh, anyone hear that little pop? That's my elbow. Yeah. I say these kinds of things all the time, so I'm probably really repetitive, so I apologize. But because I'm not trying to grow my chest or my back at the moment, the volume in terms of sets per week on those muscle groups are under 10. But another way that I could get around this, and maybe for you at home too, if you've got similar goals as me, but you don't want to give up the variety of muscle groups and exercises in your program, because I must say it's very cumbersome training for just glutes and shoulders. I mean, I still do other things, but it's not how I've grown up training. It's not how I enjoy training. I've got an athletic background. So having some variety and like performance-based goals is kind of important to me for sustainability. So what I could do is in my next training block for my chest and my back, I can probably program strength-based training. So I might even reincorporate some barbell bench pressing for like 3s or 2s or 1s, or maybe a pyramid where I get to have a go at like hitting some 1 rep max numbers, because that's not going to have as much carryover in terms of muscle growth as it will just for developing neurological adaptations. So I'll get strong, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to get more muscular. So in order for me to keep some variety in my program for those the muscle groups that I don't want to grow, I might do that for the next program. So you'll probably see a few of those things sneak in post-competition, which I'm excited about. Like, I'm so excited to do some more variety in this program. Guys, we are done. We are now finished for Wednesday. Today Wednesday? Yeah, today's Wednesday. I've got 2 days to go. 2 days to tighten everything up, 2 days to get rid of a bunch of water and inflammation, carb up, and get ready for Saturday. So tomorrow is going to be a fun day. I'm actually going to meet with Ali, who is one of the other pros. She just won her show goodness, last weekend, I think it was the Chicago Pro, looked incredible. So I'm going to go and hang out with her tomorrow and refine some of my posing. So I'm so excited to do that. I think I've got my like routine down pat, but I feel like there are a couple of little things that I want to work on just with the transitions and hand movements and things to really give it a nice polished finish. So that's going to be good. I've also got so many exciting things happening tomorrow with the app. So this evening, we've got a big dev team meeting where we're going to be going over like all of the existing features that were in the app, and we're starting to work on the nutrition coach. So obviously I previously had Carb and Diet Coach, loved it. That was my baby. I'm now out of and free of that non-compete and able to make my own. So we've got so many awesome ideas, things that I have wanted to do for such a long time that were never implemented into that platform. So yeah, tomorrow is going to be a big day for coaching. It's going to be a big day for, I guess, meetings and the app stuff and posing. So somehow I've got to write my peak plan tonight and make sure that I can kind of come in looking the way that I want. So busy next 48 hours, tanning, hair and makeup. Oh my goodness, it's just too many things to think about. So I'm gonna go home and jump in that ice cold chill bath somewhere. I will record all of this week so that you can kind of see what's going on with macros, how I do my peak, all the stuff that kind of goes into food and weighing that out and what I'm going to be eating. But yeah, wish me luck, guys. Woo! Alrighty guys, so I am getting my pedicure done today. So I was in a couple of days ago, got my nails done here. So I went for like something super basic and classic. So they're done. I'm gonna get my toes done, matching, ready for the weekend. So we're gonna sit back, have a champagne and relax. Alrighty guys, we are done. So I finally have my nails done. I got basic French, and no, I'm not going to show my feet any longer because apparently there are creepers out there that use your feet for, I guess, strange purposes. But we're about to walk back to the house. It's only like a 15-minute walk, which is super convenient. And then I'm going to go and check in, which I forgot about. I was thinking, because I've always competed on Saturday and the show is on Saturday, registration is always on like Friday at some point. And I just got a phone call while I was sitting here and they were like, hey, we're just calling to find out if you're still competing on the weekend. I'm like, yes. So they were like, yeah, come in, we're here all night. So I have to go and check in. So my goodness, what a mistake. I think I've just got so many things on my mind that one slipped through the cracks. Usually I have everything on my schedule, like my tanning times, which is usually multiples, nail appointment times, hair and makeup times. I guess make sure that you've registered and checked in. Wasn't on the calendar this time, so let's go and do that. Hello everybody, welcome back. To be honest, my brain is so frizzled right now. I've just been sitting here today transferring like video content from my camera onto my computer, and it has been like the most painful experience because I'm like trying to read specific numbers on videos and then compare them to like the high quality video, delete old stuff off folders, oh my gosh, and get them into the right places. It's just been one of those days. We've had multiple appointments. I had to go and do check-ins today, which I'd forgotten about. Wasn't on my calendar. It doesn't exist. I don't know if any of you guys are like that, but I swear I live by my calendar. So if something's not on there, like it doesn't get done. And this particular event, normally, well, let's take a step back. Usually when you register for a competition, there's all of the confirmation emails that go out. And then there's also like follow-up emails with, okay, these are the hair and makeup times. Here's your check-in day time. This is when the athletes need to be there. And none of that was provided for this particular show. It's all available on their website, but it's available amidst like 70,000 things. So I'm like, oh my God, I nearly missed check-in. So I got a phone call today while I was getting my nails done. to go over and pick up my my registration and my number and stuff. So thank gosh we got that done. So I have just gotten back. I'm sitting down now to go over my data with you, talk you through a little bit more about, I guess, my peak protocol this week. Is very different again. I feel like every peak protocol I've done for the last, I don't know, 2 years has been a little bit different, and there are obviously many ways that you can tackle them. So before we dive into that, I want to go through with you my data from last week, as it kind of forms the foundations for a lot of the numbers that go into my peak week protocols, and also just my show day numbers. So I want to draw your attention over to my screen here for the screen recording. So we're looking at Monday the 21st through to Sunday the 27th. So that's the data that we're going to review from the last week. So as you guys know, my calories were incredibly low. So my targets, if we go back here, were sitting at just on 1200. So I was actually trying to bring them even in a little lower if I could. So my protein targets have been around 115 grams per day, and I'm kind of sitting smack bang dead in the center of my protein requirement at the moment. And then I have my lower days are 105 and then 35 grams of fat. So that's 105 carb, 35 fat. And then I had 2 slightly higher days at 1255. So that was my, I think Friday and Saturday were the intended days. At 120 carb and 35 fat. So still nothing exciting there, just very low calorie targets, just trying to get lean enough for this competition. So it brings my average in at 1212. So with that being said, let's go over and see how I did with my tracking data and my macros last week. So if we look over to this column here, I'm just going to zoom in so it's a little bit bigger for you guys so that you can see. Here we go. Okay, right in the center. So calorie compliance, 103%. So I'd say that is perfect compliance. We don't need to be exact to really make progress. So 3% over my calorie targets. If you recall, I was looking to get, what was it, 1231, and I came in at 1247. So very close to my targets there. My protein was also really good. I came in on average at 118. So again, I was 3% over. So there's obviously no issues with me being on the slightly higher side for protein. And then as far as my sodium is concerned, this is the one area where I think there are some issues with the food database that's tracking all of the foods. So unfortunately, when I was looking back at my salt intake for this past week, I was like, that does not seem right at all. And the reason that I say that is the foods that I was eating last week were largely Asian, nationality, and they were very salty. So I had like Kung Pao chicken from last week, you guys may have recalled. I provided you with a free download of all of my recipes that I had consumed, at least the ones that I had put into my recipe library in my phone. And the other one was, goodness, I had Kung Pao chicken. I think I had spicy chicken. No, one more time. Sweet and sour. We'll get there. Clearly I need the rest. So I was using these extremely salty foods, and I could feel it. I could see it. The scale certainly showed it. But when I was looking back over my data, it did not reflect accurate numbers. So I have to assume if I was to actually go and pull up those meals in my phone, look at the ingredients, and then compare it to the food label, those things would be off. And that's not necessarily a fault of the people that are providing you with their macro tracking. It's a problem with the food databases, and it's a problem with how, I guess, the food manufacturing industry is regulated, and not every time an update is made to a formula or how a product is made, do they have to immediately submit it to the food database to have all of those food labels updated and how they're then tracked in food trackers. So whilst that's not normally something that really matters, I mean, salt content, those types of things are less important for most of us. It's just this past week, it's very important because it helps me set up my sodium targets for my peak week. So I am going out on a whim this week and making some assumptions that what's being described here. So 1192 is what my average sodium was, and I just don't believe it. I think it's probably at least 400 or 500 milligrams higher, just based on some of the sources that I was using, and that's the number that I feel more comfortable using for my peak week.
So I'm very happy with my compliance for this last week, 1247. It's just horrible calorie targets to try and hit. The hunger has been incredible. I feel like the last couple of weeks has just been horrible. So I'm really glad that I guess starting next week when I finish my shows, that I'll be able to have a little bit of relief in terms of hunger, because it has been rough and just low energy as well, trying to get through these big 90-minute sessions. So coming across to have a look at my training for this past week, I'm actually very happy with how my training went as well. Remember, I was coming off a couple of weeks of being kind of unwell. So last week was my first week reintroducing some running again. So I was able to get 2 runs in. I kept them a little bit shorter. They were 20-minute runs. I think they were just over or just on 2 miles, maybe a little bit less. I can't recall. But they clocked in around 450 calories of energy expenditure, which was nice. And I have really enjoyed going on my runs. You can see the video that's playing on the screen right now. This is one of the mornings when I went out. I mean, every morning it has been beautiful. It's very hot, by the way. So if you haven't been to Florida for the summertime, it's easily like, I don't know, 90s and humid. So unless you get out on the pavement before like 9 a.m. or at least you're home by 9, it's been really, really hot to try and run. So I've been trying to get those in pretty early, as well as my walks too. So collectively you can see there, for my walking, I got about 420 minutes of walking. So aiming for, on average, 60 minutes per day. And then my weekly energy expenditure came in at 4,766. So if we go over and look at my targets for this past week, my goal was 4.5 up to 5. So I came in at 4.7. So I'm very happy with that. And again, these are just estimated energy expenditures as per my Apple Watch. I just hit start on the most, I guess, applicable like option that's listed in my watch. And then it's using all of my personal data to kind of track my estimated caloric expenditure. My steps were great. I'm always nervous about trying to get up to 12,000, but I did it this week, and I think I can thank one of these days here. I did 2 walks sometime earlier in the week. I got 19,000 steps, which is just unheard of for me. That is like 7-fold more than what I normally do when I'm just not competing. I think my average steps are like 4,000 or 5,000 most days. And then on Sunday night here, I think Sam and I did a walk in the morning, and then in the evening we walked to dinner, which was about a 50-minute walk. And I was so happy to be walking out to dinner because look what I got to eat. So on that particular evening, we walked down to like one of our favorite restaurants. It is called the Barcelona Wine Bar. And we ordered a bunch of different things. So again, I'm still on relatively low calories, right? But there are still so many great options that I could choose, and the chefs are really flexible. So the first thing that I had or we ordered was like a potatoes gratin. I didn't have a whole lot of that, number one, from the caloric density standpoint, but I also had a garlic, it was like garlic and onion, all kind of through it. I could smell it. It smelled delicious. So I just had a couple of little bites. It certainly hit the spot, and it was very tasty, but I didn't want to have IBS after that. So that was the first that we had. We also ordered some Manchego cheese croquettes. They are absolutely delicious. So it's basically just fried cheese balls with, what's the other ingredient in there? I'm guessing there's some flour or some kind of corn in the center too. It's kind of very soft and fluffy. Those I can tolerate. There's no garlic and onion in the actual Manchego cheese ball, but they're served on like a creamy aioli, garlic aioli. So again, I had one of those. I fit that in, but I just kind of, didn't really have a whole lot of the aioli dip that went with it. And then what else do we order? So for protein servings, I think we had salmon. That was delicious. We also had, I think I ordered just their chicken, and I asked for no seasoning. So they did coat it in like a butter, but that was excellent. I'm very happy. And then they also served me, I think it was some broccoli, again, shallow fried. But I just kind of, when I would take the bits of broccoli off, I would just sit it on the napkin to kind of get rid of all of that residue heavy oil. And yeah, that's basically what I had for dinner that night. And I think I also had like half of a glass of wine. They serve like 3-ounce small pours because they do lots of wine flights. So yeah, I had half a glass of wine on that day as well. So that was really fun and something just to look forward to at the end of the week, because I was busy working all Saturday and part of Sunday too. So it was nice to just kind of just take a break and sit down and have somebody else cook for you. So that was wonderful. So I guess training wise, resistance training, I got all 4 of my sessions in, and now that program is done. I've got to write a new hyper-focused glute program, so I'm excited to be able to do that for you guys next week. I'll have that go up onto the website, so if you want to download that new program that I start, I will have that available for you. So please stay tuned for that. Keep following me along on Instagram, as that's where I'll, I guess, make that announcement and put up the links to access that program. And if you're not on our mailing list, go and get on the mailing list, because we give you first dibs at everything. There's always sales, special prices, discounts on coaching. It goes to you first if you are on our mailing list. All of those links, by the way, are in the description on this video. So that was my past several days. Now, obviously, we're coming into Thursday of the following week. So you can see I've already got many days of this week tracked. These are, I guess, my peak week days. So I want to pop over and show you my peak week. I'll be perfectly honest with you. So this past week has been so busy, and I knew that I didn't need to make any crazy adjustments, like really high, carbohydrates at the beginning of this week, because I was still cutting. So because of all of I feel like every time I try and compete, there's always just something that just blows up, and I have to end up prioritizing that. So with the whole app shenanigans and just multiple other things that are always kind of going on in the background, I think for small business owners, you get it, you understand. But I knew that I still needed to keep cutting, as I was not lean enough. So I was just dieting basically all the way up until Wednesday, so yesterday. So to me, thankfully, I didn't need to have my peak plan ready. So I just kept following the same targets, and I was just a little bit more mindful of my salt content and not to have anything that was really crazy, because if I had something really salty this week, I would see that in the mirror and it would totally skew like how I'm viewing myself and whether I think I'm ready or not. And even as it was having to train hard all the way up until Wednesday, basically, I was so inflamed. I was looking back at some of my training videos from Flex and Flow on like Tuesday and Wednesday night just this past week, and it's just so clear. Like my legs are like watermelons. They were so heavy. I was sore still from like the runs and the training sessions earlier on in the week. So yeah, I was a little bit nervous because you don't want to, that really masks your capacity to see what you look like. Are you ready? When you're swollen and watery, it's really difficult to see whether you're lean enough. So one of the things that I did last night was actually pop up to our ice baths. So we've got 2 of those just upstairs. I have talked about how inflamed and sore I have been for the last couple of days, and part of the reason is because I have been grinding. Like I've had very limited time to kind of get myself back into the level of conditioning for this show. So today was really my last kind of big day of like cardio. I wound it back with my training, but I still had to do a run and an hour of steps. So I am here in the sauna right now, not because I have any interest in like sweating it out or anything. There is a freezing cold plunge pool right next door that I'm about to get into. We have 2 of these, and you can take the temperature down very low. So I'm going to go next door here in a minute and probably do 3 rounds of between 1 and 2 minutes, or just whatever I can tolerate to bring these quads and the inflammation down. Like they're so fluidy and just still really sore. So I've got 2 days basically to rest and see what we can do. So I'm going to warm up and psych myself up into this cold ice plunge. This is so cold. I forgot how breathtaking. A minute at least. Oh, that sucks so bad. All I can hope is that this helps reduce the inflammation, because if it's doing nothing, oh my God, I would be so sad. It's so painful. Eventually, once you can control your breathing, it gets a little bit easier.
But, oh my gosh, okay, next time I'll put my heart rate monitor on so we can see what my heart rate does. Because initially it goes up, because it's like your body's just in shock. And then you've just got to let your mind go somewhere else and your legs. Why am I doing this? Go below 78. Oh my gosh. Oh, not for my feet. Alrighty guys, it's 11:45 at night. I'm gonna go take a nice little warm shower, put my butt to bed, get a good night's sleep. Then we got cardio tomorrow, peak tomorrow, carbs tomorrow, food tomorrow, protein tomorrow. It's gonna be a good day. And we've got two different settings. One's set at 58 degrees Celsius and the other is, Fahrenheit. I don't know, maybe Celsius. No, it's Celsius. Oh my goodness. The other one's at 47, so a lot colder. And the reason that I did that was to help reduce inflammation. So usually that's not something that I would implement, at least not after like busy, heavy, hard training sessions, just because there is some indication that because it reduces inflammation, it can actually, impede your capacity to build muscle. So it's a strategy that I would implement with my athletes. So anybody that's doing, multiple training sessions. Jerry, please get off the camera. Jerry. I have all of my animals in here right now. They're just so distracting. One of them's like playing in the door for the last 10 minutes. So I can just hear it going on. But anyway, so for my athletes, I would totally recommend implementing, cold plunges, ice baths, those types of things. If you've got multiple bouts of activity that you need to show up for and perform well. If you've got tournaments, 3 or 4 day tournaments, yes, I would recommend ice baths because it can help reduce any inflammation from the match or the game or whatever it was that you were doing, and allow you to show up better the next day. So whilst I don't use that for bodybuilding because it can blunt muscle growth signaling, or at least in the short term we've seen that. I don't know how that would actually pan out long term because we don't have that data. But regardless, last night, and I will do it again tonight, I'm definitely getting into the cold plunge just to get rid of as much of the swelling that I've got left kind of lingering from the last few days training as possible. So you can see some of that footage that's just been playing to the side. I also got in the sauna, not because I needed sauna treatment. Right now I want to keep my fluid very stable throughout the week, like balanced, nothing unusual, no like dehydration techniques, nothing like that. I'm not an athlete that's using performance enhancing drugs, and I do not need to manipulate any of those types of variables. It's just very steady. So yeah, I was just so cold after getting into the cold plunge that was enough for me to like psych myself back up, get warm again, and then hop back in. So that was that. I definitely want to keep an eye on my hydration for this week too. So keeping everything nice and steady. So back over to peak week. You'll notice here that a lot of the days are low calories. See how it says 1195? That's just my normal targets. There's nothing unusual there. Here's me earlier saying that I was on 1600 milligrams roughly of sodium this week. That's me making an educated guess based on the foods that I know that I've been consuming. 3 or 4 liters of fluid, normal steps, my normal run, my normal training right up until Wednesday. Today, however, and tomorrow being Friday, I am still keeping myself in a deficit, believe it or not, because I would rather come in, I need to be lean. I would rather come in too lean and just pose a little softer on stage than not be lean enough and then be really unhappy with how I look. So I'm keeping my deficit for the next 2 days, but I'm making some big adjustments as to where those calories are coming from. And that's really strategic to make sure that at least my muscle stays as full as it can be whilst still creating fat loss. So I've pulled my protein down today and tomorrow. I pulled my fats down from today and tomorrow, and I'm taking my carbs up. So I've got 2 nice high carb days, but I'm sitting here today going, what am I going to eat?
This is like such a specific type of food and very boring food. Like it's not going to be something that is like, you know, delicious pasta or a nice rice dish or anything, because when things taste nice, it's usually paired with like fats and or protein. So I can't like go to an Italian restaurant and have pasta, because that's going to be also very high in fat and probably would have some kind of protein in it. Or at least it'll have all the FODMAPs and all the things that I can't eat. Like a nice Italian sauce, like a red sauce, would have garlic and onion. So those are all out. Like peak week, there's no FODMAPs, at least from today. Earlier in the week, I still have sweetener and all those types of things. And if I need to have a dressing or something that's got a little bit of garlic or onion, I'll still wing it. But Thursday, Friday are just absolutely not. It's not worth the distension and the pain that I get in my GI. So yeah, it sounds like it's a fun day, but it's a very bland, basic food. So I was even just putting together a recipe earlier while I was at the nail place to see whether I could make like popovers. I don't know if you guys are familiar with those. I'll put a picture up. I've done content with these before, but that's just plain bread and they're so delicious. And I think I can probably make homemade popovers tonight, or I could just have some kind of plain rice, a little bit of sauce of sorts, and maybe a little portion of protein. So yeah, I'm kind of sitting here going, whatever. But I mean, it's not the point. Like these meals aren't here to serve your pleasure center. You're here for a purpose. You've worked your butt off. You eat what you have to eat to make sure that you look good on stage. So I will sort that out tonight. I'm going to be sitting down once I finish here to decide what I'm going to do with the remaining 120 grams of carbs that I probably still have to eat today. So I'll pull my salt down a little bit just to accommodate that flux of carbohydrate and fluid. Obviously, when you're eating carbohydrate, remember there's also glucose and glycogen that's going to be stored, and there's going to be water moving around as well. So in efforts not to become too fluidy in the extracellular space, I'm going to bring down my salt content a little bit for this week. So we'll do a little bit lower today and tomorrow, and then show day is not going to be crazy high in calories. I'm going to be going low protein. Protein doesn't really serve a whole lot of purpose on show day, other than just, you know, the meal being more palatable perhaps. And then fats as well doesn't really serve a whole lot of purpose on show day either. It's mostly carbs and sodium and fluid that are going to make the biggest difference to how you look on stage. So because I don't think I'm as conditioned as my previous show, so in Pittsburgh and or maybe even the Optimum Pro out in Louisiana, I don't want to go as hard with my carbs. Previously, like my show day carbs were, I don't know, probably closer to like 400 or 500. It was crazy. I don't think that I'm as lean as I was then, and I don't want to then come in and just look soft because my muscles will just look too full and round, but there's probably still too much body fat. So I'm just going to go in with a more conservative amount of carbs. So this is about, I don't know, probably 1.8 times what I would normally have, like my average over the last couple of weeks in terms of my carbs. So 220 isn't a huge amount of carbohydrate, but keep in mind I've been at 105 for the last couple of weeks. So I'm looking at what my averages have been, and then I'm applying a factor to those to kind of get my numbers up to 220. So by the way, I'm going to be putting together a template like this at some point when I get a free minute for you guys to use if you're a competitor or you're doing a photo shoot, you just want to look your best and you've gotten quite lean. It's only really relevant if you're very lean. I wouldn't recommend using a peak plan if you're not, below 13 or 14% body fat. It doesn't make much of a difference, but if you are lean, it's certainly worthwhile. But I'm going to put one of these together, and I'm also going to do a peak training week program too, so that if you're a bikini competitor, you can come and take a look at the normal, like traditional approach to a peak week. Mine's a little bit skewed this week, obviously, as I'm still cutting down to the last minute, which isn't normal. So it looks very different to this. So please don't try and look at my numbers and go, this is the perfect way to peak. Absolutely not. I am just behind the 8 ball with all of this because of the drama with the application. So as far as the actual show day, what am I going to do for my food sources? I've been doing the same thing for the last couple of years. It just keeps it easy. So I do some kind of a cereal in the morning. I'm not adding anything else to that other than a little bit of unsweetened almond milk. No FODMAPs on this day, no sweeteners. I'm avoiding wheat-based cereals. I'll be doing, as you can see here, rice-based cereals. I'm doing Cocoa Pebbles. I could also do corn-based cereal as well. I'm just trying to keep away some of those FODMAPs, which are generally wheat-based. So I'll do a rice-based or a corn-based breakfast cereal in the morning. I don't know the quantities yet. I've got to redo all of this tonight. I know I'm going to need to add a little bit of salt to that as well, just to kind of bring up my my numbers so that they're kind of similar to my normal. Lots of water in the morning just to make sure I stay hydrated and that water moves into the muscle with those carbohydrates. Remember, glycogen moves into the muscle, it pulls water with it. So I'm going to be having some water. And then 2 hours out, that'll be about 10 or 11 a.m. in the morning. I'll be having a very high carb meal, about 90 grams of carbs. So I just opt for a plain rice, but again, it could be any low FODMAP carbohydrate source. And avoiding like honey and things that are just high fructose, fructans, any of the FODMAPs, so fructo oligosaccharides, disaccharides, and polyols. So none of those are going to be going in. I have a little bit of beef with that rice dish, and then I actually use a nut butter just to add a little bit of fat. Or I could just use regular butter as well, but I just have to pay attention to the sodium. So yeah, I know that I'll be putting in, that's a pretty big high salty meal, 1120 milligrams of salt. So I'll have to look at what's in the foods and then whatever the difference is from what my normal average is. And this is also a factor. I won't tell you what that is, but if there's a multiplication and a factor that goes into this. But I'm going to have to bring that salt number up a little bit higher to make sure that I have a good pump when I hop on stage. So finals are almost immediately after. We don't have a whole lot of break on Saturday, which is actually wonderful. I think the pros go on at 11:15. I'm probably the second or third category. We have maybe a 1 hour intermission and then we're back on again for finals. So they actually put us like at the pros kind of back to back, whereas the NPC amateurs are at the morning and then the night show. So they've got a big gap, and that's kind of what I've been used to. So I really like the setup for this show. It's really good. So I'll do the same meal again as I go back on stage for finals. It won't be quite as carb heavy, but I'll have to determine that based on how I'm looking on the day. If I'm really nervous or I'm walking around a lot, I don't want to be depleted. So I might even make some adjustments just based on how I'm looking. So yeah, it's kind of boring on show day, just carbs, fats, little bit of an influence there on how you're looking. Protein doesn't really have any input at all. It's mostly sodium, fluid, and carbohydrate that I'll be manipulating so that I look nice and full and round when I get on stage. So yeah, that is the peak strategies. So yeah, I'm kind of excited. I think that's about all I've got for you in terms of my data. I know this video continues and we're going to be doing all the things. So I guess up next is going to be probably all the antics of show mornings. So I guess come along with me as I get ready in the morning, get my hair done, all the good stuff. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow with Friday, maybe some posing. We'll see. All right, guys. So I have finally spent a bit of time just tidying up my house this afternoon. We are planning on having a pool day on Sunday, so I'm like, I just want everything to be organized so that I don't have to get home to a mess. And if you all watch my last prep last YouTube vlog, just the hotel room is like an indication of just like the speed at which stuff just gets turned up. So anyway, house is looking a little tidier. I am making my meals for tomorrow. So I've gone through yesterday with you and showed you my spreadsheets and exactly what all of that entails. So here is the actual foods. So just as an example, like in the morning, the first thing that I'm going to be having is these cocoa pebbles. I just like these because they're convenient. I'm going to be like on the road in the morning going to get my hair and makeup done. So it's nice to just have this like easy and portable and just throw away Tupperware. And interestingly, I'm going to have to add some salt to this. So my salt is very carefully calculated. You might have seen that yesterday on the sheets. So I'll be adding that to my cocoa pebbles, and I'm just going to put water in here. Partly just because I don't have any unsweetened almond milk, and I wouldn't have regular milk just because there's lactose, and I do still feel the effects of lactose if I have too much. So that'll be with water. My next meal is going to be this extra lean ground beef. So you can see here the sodium is really low in this. And I'm pairing that with this basmati rice. So this is the first time I've used this brand. So I just wanted to double check the ingredients because last time when, I can't remember where I was, but the ingredients in some of these are definitely no-go. So this one, for instance, has xanthan gum. We do not want to go anywhere near that. But if we opt for something like this basmati, this one doesn't have any of that in it. It's just sunflower oil and soy lecithin. I also believe one of the other packs that I was looking at today didn't have xanthan gum on it. Maybe not, might have been another one. But anyway, that's the rice that I'm going to use for tomorrow. And then to keep it lighter, I'm going to do another carb-rich meal, which is just some good old frosted flakes. Sorry. Again, it's mostly carbohydrates that I'm manipulating tomorrow. And then this is going to need some salt as well. And I guess I should have mentioned that the beef and rice mixture is also going to be heavily salted. So I've actually got a little like micro scale that I'll use for that. This is not sensitive enough to accurately track salt. So you'll notice here in a serve of this, which is 1.3 grams, there's 500 milligrams. So just as an example, one of the meals that I've got to put together needs about 1120 milligrams of sodium. So I basically have to look at what's in the food and then subtract that from the amount that I want, and then do some quick math based on this serving size and how much salt is in this product. So that's all done. And then just in case, I'm going to be taking some Haribo gummy bears. So similar to my last prep and for the reasons that I mentioned previously, these are a low FODMAP. So a lot of sweets are really high in fructose. That is a simple sugar. It's poorly digested. It tends to be better digested when the ratio of glucose to fructose favors glucose. But a lot of candies, believe it or not, if you read the back, like they'll have fructose corn syrup, or they're just straight up fructose as the ingredient to sweeten. So unlike the Haribo gummy bears, if I go up to the label here, you can probably zoom in, there is just straight up glucose syrup in here. And there are no other FODMAPs or anything like that. So yeah, that is my final big carb push for the competition tomorrow. Because they're really close together, I don't need like another massive meal of carbs. Like one of them was like 90 grams of carbohydrate. I'm not going to go that aggressive because I don't have that many hours between the preliminaries and the finals. So I'm going to get cooking and I'll show you the finished product. Alrighty, I already messed up my Cocoa Pebbles because I was trying to film it and I could not see the scale. So I did a few shakes and it was already like 2 grams or something ridiculous. So thankfully I have an entire box of cereal here, so I'm just going to double up on the Frosted Flakes just so that I don't have to worry about going to the store. So I've already put 0.52, I know you probably can't see that, but that is 0.52 grams of salt. And now I'm going to reweigh another serving of some Frosted Flakes. So this is a 56 gram serving. 2 grams extra. I think will be good. So yeah, that's my salty cereal that I'm going to serve with just straight up water. I would usually use unsweetened almond milk, but I don't have any and it doesn't really bother me, honestly. For prep food on show day, I couldn't care less. It is strictly to serve a purpose. So yeah, you can get these little, I guess they're jewelry scales. That's how I found this one, as the regular ones. Like you can't just find a normal scale. So at least I go down to like the 1 milligram increment, which is helpful in these situations where you do need to be a little bit more specific. So yeah, I'll go ahead and do the same for this and then keep going on my beef over there, which is probably burning. Let's do it. Today has been rough. It's like
appointment after appointment after appointment after this, after that. Did I eat this meal? Did I drink enough fluid? Stop drinking my drink, Sam. It's just been go, go, go. So we've gotten back to the venue and I'm about to go and get my tan. So it's Friday, 2 p.m. is my tanning time. It's a little bit earlier than I would have liked, to be honest, because it does kind of come off on your clothing and stuff. Normally I would make my appointment like the last of the day on Friday so that I can kind of go to bed and then I haven't had hours of kind of wearing it. But anyway, I am currently pale. I guess we'll come out and see what color I end up after all of this. So I will see you on the flip side. Alrighty guys, it is show day. I am so nervous. There's a lot of people here and this keeps going all the way. You guys saw a little bit of the backstage area yesterday when I was here. So yeah, the show starts at 11:15. It's like 11:45 right now. The crowd is building and I need to go backstage here in a second and basically get pumped up. So I have my hair and makeup done this morning. I went to a place in Tampa called Gold Plated. And so for any Tampa locals, I loved it. It was so well organized and the ladies were wonderful. And I really like my hair and makeup. I'll spin around. It's almost fallen out because it's so humid here. Just like going back and forth to the car, even like it started to drop, but that's another story. Everyone's in the same boat, but yeah, I've got a few minutes until the show starts. So wish me luck, guys. I'm so excited. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're done, or at least for preliminaries. So I got first place in the second call out. So they have 7 girls in the first lineup, and then they bring out the next 7 girls. I was placed first in the middle for that. So I'm very happy with that, considering there were 36 girls. So it was a really big category. I think 36 girls, I could be speaking, but it was a large number regardless. So how the next part works is we'll take a short break. They'll come back for finals at 3:30 and they'll bring us all out onto the stage, like together, just basically do some quarter turns. And then they'll just let the top 10 do their individual walk. So I would assume I still have to do my individual because I'm in the top 10. So yeah, I'm happy. I feel like when I watch all the other girls, they're so much more confident on stage. Like we have a massive big screen out the back that we can watch everybody. And the only thing that I feel like I need major improvements on is like a confidence boost when it comes to like being on stage. These girls are like, I don't know, they look like professional dancers and that they've been doing this their entire lives. So yeah, but I'm happy. I'm really happy. We're done. I feel like this might be my last show for the season. I'm so beat up and exhausted. I think my first show was back in early May at the Pittsburgh Pro. So I went and chat with Tyler after the competition finished, and he just said, you're really full in the legs. You do not need any more quad size. He said, you're a little hard. Basically, that just means you're too lean in your legs. But then he said, you need more overall glute development. I'm just like, more glutes. I can't possibly do any more glutes. I think I'm hitting like 56 sets a week or something like that right now. But I will go back to the drawing board knowing that, and knowing that I still need a lot more size to be competitive. It doesn't make sense for me to keep grinding when I'm not in a top 5 position. So I am going to take the next 6 months at least back in a building phase. And you girls I would encourage you guys to do the same thing as well. If you know that you've still got muscle to build to help you achieve the goal physique that you're looking for, that takes so much time. So focus on a build. I'm going to do that over the next 6 months and yeah, put my head down. So I'll be putting out a new hyper-focused glute program in the next couple of days. I need at least 1 rest day. I'm going to take tomorrow off and like lay by the pool or something. But yeah, I actually moved up. So I thought that I was coming in at 10th. And then they called me out when we did the comparisons or the confirmation. I was in 7th position. So yeah, I came 7th, which is so good considering the caliber of ladies that are at these shows. So I'm very happy, grateful to be here, and I will be excited to step on stage again in season 2026.